Welcome to Homeschooling and Life Unfiltered with Court and Jess, where real talk meets real life. Court and Jess are two friends, fellow moms, and business partners who live in different time zones and juggle homeschooling alongside motherhood and entrepreneurship. Jess is a mom of 8 and Court is a mom of 7, and together they're raising 15 kids and navigating the wild, wonderful world of homeschooling, each in completely different ways. Every week, we invite you to pull up a chair for honest conversations, practical tips, and uplifting encouragement. You'll hear from moms across the country who are homeschooling in a way that works best for their families. Whether you're a veteran homeschool mom just getting started or somewhere in between, this is your space to feel seen, supported, and inspired. Because no matter how different our paths may look, we are all in this together.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different than our normal podcast format. Instead of our usual conversation, I am going to be sharing with you a talk that I gave at Venture Upward's virtual homeschooling conference called When You Homeschool and Work, Real Talk for Real Moms. This episode is dedicated to all of the homeschooling moms out there who are working, whether it's from home or working outside of the home. If you're balancing both worlds, then this episode is especially for you. I hope you feel seen, encouraged, and supported. Enjoy. Let's get started. The hard and the beautiful truth. The hard and the beautiful truth is that homeschooling is a full-time job. It's a full-time endeavor. And the hard and beautiful truth is that being a mom is a full-time job and endeavor. Add in work, whether it's from home, outside of the home, in the home, running your own business, and you've officially stepped into a life that most people wouldn't dare to try. But here's another truth. It can work. Not perfectly, not without hard days, sometimes even painfully hard days, but it can work in a way that your kids will remember with gratitude. And it can work in a way that you'll look back with both pride and longing. And yes, I said longing. You will long for these days one day. A longing so encompassing and powerful. And I know because I've had children leave the nest already. A longing so encompassing and powerful that you'd give anything to have one single day back at the very stage you are in today. You're going to miss the schoolwork battles. You're going to miss the 75 pairs of shoes that you're stepping over every single time you come into the house. You're going to miss the laundry, the mess, the endless math lessons. You're even going to miss being so busy that you feel like you might actually come apart as you're pulled in 15 different directions. One day, we would give anything to go back to this very moment in time. Our kids will never be this little again. So don't waste another minute worrying or feeling guilty about working, because together we're going to explore some tips and tricks, some practical tips and tricks. That's important. But we're also going to re-examine our perspective, because sometimes a perspective shift is far more powerful than any tip or trick that I or anyone else can give you. So first, I'm going to challenge you to shift your perspective in 3 critical areas. And then I'm going to give you some practical tips and tricks to help you and your family thrive. So what if I told you in an instant I could give you 35 extra hours a week to spend with your kids, loving them, cultivating their interests, teaching them, guiding them? What if I told you, or maybe reminded you, that you've already given yourself those extra hours? You've all chosen to home educate your children. You've all chosen to bring them home with you every day. That single decision has given you more than 35 extra hours with your kiddos every single week. That's 1,260 extra hours per year, and a whopping 16,380 extra hours over childhood. That's almost 2 full years of extra time with your precious children. So breathe and trust yourself. Trust your decisions. Trust your decision to work and homeschool. Trust yourself to balance your time well and allow yourself some grace as you navigate what that means for your family. Perspective shift number 2. And this one is one that we all need to hear over and over and over. It's okay to work. It's okay to work and homeschool. It's okay to work part-time. It's okay to work full-time. It's okay to run your own business. It's okay to work outside of your home. It's okay to work from inside your home. We all choose to work for a variety of reasons. Maybe it's financial. Maybe you're really passionate about what you do. Maybe you need regular time away. Or maybe you're a single parent. There are so many reasons why the women on this call choose to work, and they are all valid reasons. You don't even need a reason. Your choice to homeschool and work at the same time is also valid. Do what you're called to do and do it well. Do it with confidence. And most importantly, be unapologetically bold about it. You don't need anyone's approval and you don't need anyone's opinion because you've got this. I know this can be a hard one, but don't engage with the story that other people are trying to write about your life. Also importantly, don't create stories in your mind about other people's lives. We all see the Pinterest perfect homeschooling moms on social media, but I'm here to tell you that that is all a facade. Homeschooling is hard for everyone, and nobody's homeschool is perfect, whether they work or not. But again, don't engage with the story other people write about your life. Let time tell your story. They might not get it today, but time has a funny but very reliable way of telling your story. Trust yourself to make good decisions for your family. And again, also allow yourself some grace as you navigate what that means. And perspective shift number 3. Consistency is greater than perfection. This is the one that I struggle with the most. It's the hardest for me. I am by nature a perfectionist. And while to some that might sound like an asset, it can be actually quite crippling. I tend to have the attitude that if I can't do something perfectly, then I'm not going to do it. Or I get stuck in the planning phase. I am an excellent planner and list maker, but I get stuck in that phase. And then one of two things really happens. Either I get stuck in this phase and my best laid plans never come to fruition because I'm never done planning, or I plan my way right up to the very last minute and now there's not enough time to do everything I planned. So we end up doing a really abbreviated version of what could have been a really great day or great lesson. And honestly, I know it, I feel it, and my attitude stinks about it. So we need to remind ourselves that homeschooling is hard and at times can probably has stretched you to your very limit. And this isn't unique to us, the working homeschooling mom. Working or not, we've all been there. And it doesn't mean you're a bad homeschooler. It doesn't mean that you're going to mess up your kids. In fact, I don't think you actually get that homeschooling mom badge until you have shed many tears or spent sleepless nights worrying about doing it all wrong. When talking about the reality of perfection, a former college president, Kevin Worthen, said, "It is a truth that is hard to deny, yet difficult to accept. It is this: we all fail more than once every day." But he quickly goes on to say, this does not mean that you or I are failures or that the quest for perfection is futile. There is a difference between failing, even repeatedly, and being a failure. This is where consistency comes into play. I teach my kiddos that they are never a failure and they have never failed unless they've stopped trying. Our kids don't need us to be perfect. They don't need their math lesson to be perfect. They don't need their history lesson to be perfect. They don't actually need anything to be perfect. What they need is for us to show up, for us to keep trying. That means that every day we start anew. It doesn't matter how it went yesterday. Today you're showing up again, refreshed and ready to give it another shot. Whether you had a hard time, or didn't have time to look over that math lesson, or you didn't ever finish researching that science experiment, just show up. If you aren't prepared in the way you want to be, so what? That's okay. Do it anyways. Learn alongside your kiddos. Be honest, be humble. Your kids can handle it. And in fact, I bet you'll have even more fun this way, learning alongside them. This picture here is of my 10-year-old, Hannah, and I had the best laid plans for this skeleton muscle project. I ordered these little skeletons. I ordered this Play-Doh. I had some diagrams I was going to use. We were going to learn about the muscles. We were going to sing songs about the muscles, and we were going to dance and do all these fun things. But it kept feeling like it wasn't enough. It wasn't perfect. The lesson wasn't perfect. We hadn't arrived yet. So the Play-Doh and the skeleton sat on my desk for way too long, until one day I just decided, you know what? This isn't going to be perfect. I don't have the sing-songy songs to go with the muscles, and I haven't researched everything to know exactly what each muscle is called. But we're going to do it anyways. And we had so much fun. She had so much fun. It was a great project, and it was a great lesson for her, but it was also a great reminder for me that she doesn't need perfect. She just needs me to show up. So remember that homeschooling is a journey. It's not a race. It's not an event. Failure is going to be an inevitable part of the journey, and that's okay. It's expected. But a word of serious, serious caution. How you respond to your shortcomings and your perceived failures is what we really need to focus on. Your kids are watching, and how you respond will one day become their response to their own shortcomings or their perceived shortcomings. Your response becomes their inner voice when they meet a difficult circumstance. The beauty of all of it is that your imperfect experiences together make your home the perfect place for your family to learn and grow together. But they can watch you beat yourself up about the imperfect science experiment gone wrong, or they can internalize how you took that imperfect science experiment gone rogue and turned it into a time of fun and laughter and learning along the way, that their joy and their self-worth aren't rooted in perfection. Okay, so again, I'm going to keep saying it. Homeschooling is hard and it's a sacrifice, but it's one of the greatest privileges we will ever have. And if done in love and with a few tips and tricks, your children will thrive. And at the end of your homeschooling journey, they will graduate high school. But most importantly, when done in love and with some grounded perspective, you'll still have their hearts at the end of that journey. And nothing is more important than that. And when it comes time for them to leave your home, their hearts will also be mended to those of their siblings. What a gift you are giving your children. These are a few pictures of the seasons that we've navigated as a family with children leaving the nest. We've had kiddos snuggling up with old teddy bears of an older sibling. We've had very tearful goodbyes in the airport. And we've had sobbing cuddles the night before big sister leaves. We won't get it all right, but we will get a lot of it right, and especially the good stuff, the stuff that matters. Okay, so now that we have some solid footing rooted in big picture perspective, let's dive into the practical side with a few tips and tricks for the working homeschooling mom. World-renowned poet and philosopher Ralph Waldo Emerson cautioned, "Guard well your spare moments. They're like uncut diamonds. Discard them, and their value will never be known. Improve them, and they will become the brightest gems in a useful life." Don't let poor planning and excuses and work swallow up the potential of your time. We need to be intentional. We cannot afford to not be intentional. All right, I have a quick little exercise that I really need everybody to do. I want everybody to just think about how your peak busy time in the school year. We'll go with peak time, or you can do an average, either one, it doesn't matter. How many hours per week are you spending in the car? And I want you to put it in the chat box. So think about running to ballet, running an errand for work, waiting for someone to be done with a lesson, going to meet a friend or another family for a play date or a lunch. On average, how many hours per week are you spending in the car? Amy made a good point. She says it varies hugely on whether or not we have a teenage driver. I completely agree with this. Okay, we have some good responses ranging from 4, 5, 8, 10, 15. Studies have actually shown that the average American families spend a minimum of 8 to 9 hours per week in the car. Depending on the ages of your children, that's almost 2 full homeschooling days. We need to be magnifying that time. It's so important, but do it intentionally. Research great educational podcasts. Have deep and meaningful discussions with your kids about the books they're reading or topics you're studying. If you take the devices out of their hands while they're in your car and allow that to become your car culture, I promise you, they will start talking eventually, even the teens. And those conversations are soul shaping. You do not want to miss out on those. Audiobooks. Reading aloud is fantastic. And I encourage you not to let audiobooks ever replace reading aloud, but audiobooks can be a just absolute fantastic companion to your studies in the car. So there are many free online resources for audiobooks. My personal favorite is Hoopla, and it's available at many libraries for free. And there's a lot of them out there. That's just the one that our family uses. But this picture here is a really good example of our family taking back our spare minutes with purpose. Bring books. Bring books. Let them choose one every now and again that's just at their own, at any reading level they want, any interest, just a book they want to read. But sometimes bring books that you want them to read for school, because waiting is a guarantee in life. We wait for the repair technician to come. They'll be here promptly between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. Okay, that's extreme, but we really wait all of the time, and it can feel really burdensome for anyone. But for the working mom who fully realizes that time is her most important, most limited, and most valued resource, waiting can be crushing. We wait in line at the store. We wait at the dentist's office. We wait for Big Brother to get done with his soccer practice. We wait while the horse is sick and the vet is running late. That is what you're seeing here on my screen. We wait a lot. Generally, though, it can be fairly reasonable and even easy to get some things done in those spare moments. Those uncut diamonds really can become the brightest gems in a useful life. But you have to be intentional. And don't just plan ahead. Make it a part of your routine. Kids should always have a book with them. You should always have a good book with you. But maybe your kids don't love to read. Maybe they're writers. Have a notebook with you. Have a notebook with them. Maybe they're an artist. Bring a drawing pad. Maybe you have a rule like we do where you have to have 45 minutes of math done every day before you can do anything fun. What does that mean? I've had kids in the car finishing their math minutes on the way to do something fun. And guess what? If we get there and they still have 10 minutes left, we wait. More uncut diamonds. But again, be intentional and with your time and magnify every spare minute. Does it take some planning? Some. But it becomes your family's culture and rhythm really quickly. All right. The next thing we're going to do is eat a frog. Every day comes with a frog, a big, uncomfortable task that you're likely going to put off. Brian Tracy, who's the author of the book, Eat That Frog, borrowed a phrase from Mark Twain. And it says, if it's your job to eat a frog, it's best to do it first thing in the morning. And if it's your job to eat 2 frogs, eat the ugliest one first. The idea is that by tackling the most important and most dreaded task first, you set a powerful tone for the rest of your day. So identify your frog. It might be prepping a math lesson, grading a paper, prepping a tricky science experiment, cleaning your house, planning your work project. Just eat the frog. Before you do anything else, do your biggest, most important task first. This is not going to be the one that you want to do first. It's likely the one that we will procrastinate otherwise. But avoiding that frog, that unpleasant, slimy, overwhelming task that you know must be done, avoiding that does not free you from the stress that it creates. It magnifies it. So just eat the frog and get it done. Figure out what your frog is every single day and do it first. The next thing we're going to talk about is the 5-minute rule. And this one can be a little bit tricky. The 5-minute rule is something that you only employ after you've eaten your daily frog. If you're thinking about and can physically see a task that can be done in less than 5 minutes, start to finish, then do it. Get up right now and get it done. Change the load of laundry, pop that freezer meal into the oven, empty the trash, send that email, post the post, put the package out on the front step for the UPS pickup, done. It's a small habit, but it can have a really big impact. But there is a key here. We aren't going to sit and brainstorm a list of all of the things that we need to do that take less than 5 minutes and let that dominate our time. But if there's something on your mind or something that you can see from your work desk or your homeschooling table, just get up and do it if it takes less than 5 minutes from start to finish. All right, we're going to explore 4 really quick practical tips, and I'm not going to go too deeply here. We're going to stay surface level, but they're pretty straightforward. So the first one, and we've all heard this a million times, yet we don't heed it, it's sleep well. Sleep well. I won't spend a lot of time here again, but please get the sleep your body needs. Wake up and get an early start if that's helpful. Burn the midnight oil if that's what works best for you. But don't do both. You cannot be the early bird and burn the midnight oil. You will burn yourself out so quickly. So make sure you're getting a minimum of 8 hours of sleep. No excuses. I'm still perfecting this one, but I can tell you that so many problems can be solved or quickly de-escalated by a mom who's had good rest. Next, set up a clutter-free workspace for you and for your kiddos. It makes a huge difference. Has anybody here, you can just do the little hand raise thing. Has anybody heard of the Fly Lady? Couple people? Yep. Awesome. I highly encourage you to Google her and read her materials. She is amazing. So, right, the very first line in her book is, have you been living in chaos? Can't have anyone over syndrome. Enough said. Read it if you need it. She talks about habits like shining your sink daily. Seems ridiculous, but it actually makes a significant difference in overall productivity and your mood. Well, a working mother needs to apply this to her desk and her child's workspace. So shine those tables and desks daily. The next one is ask for help. Hire what you can. Do you need to hire a cleaning lady? Would it help if you hired a window washer or someone to cut your grass? Of course, this isn't always in the budget at first, but with some planning, it might be a real possibility. It's all about priorities and being intentional. What help do you need? Can you carpool with another family to church activities so you can have a little bit of extra time every other week when it's not your carpool night? Are your kids helping around the house with household chores? please don't be afraid to take the time to train your children in the art and responsibility of hard work. I promise you, it will not steal their childhood. They live in a human hive, and everyone has a role to play, and everyone can and should contribute to the well-run hive. All right, I'll have another show of hands. Well, actually, I'm not going to ask for a show of hands. You can if you want, but you don't have to. How many of us have said these very words to our husband or a significant other? I need more help from you. Ladies, that's not helpful. Be specific. What exactly do you need help with? What exactly can he do to help relieve some of the pressures and inadequacies you feel? Maybe it's checking math homework every night. Maybe it's cutting the grass. In my home, it's nightly real-louds and checking chores. When I finally took the time to ask myself what specifically would be most helpful to me, it changed everything. 2 major areas of stress: consistently checking chores to ensure that they were completed and done well, and reading every night without fail, made a significant impact on me and my husband, who was grateful for specific requests that both felt realistic for him to do and had palpable effects on my happiness that he could see. So set him up for success and be specific. But that goes for kids and family and friends and other pieces of your support system as well. Be specific. Grandparents, you're going to see here above ask for help is my wonderful mother-in-law. She will ask all the time, tell me what you need. Tell me how I can help. Be specific. All right, the last one here, passions and hobbies. You are not your child's entertainment. Help your children find their passions and hobbies. Also, it's not only okay, but good for your children to be bored every so often, even regularly. Boredom creates an environment that fosters creativity and imagination. Boredom builds resilience and self-reliance. It encourages problem solving and executive functioning. It also allows for mental rest and even has been shown to reduce stress. Children do not need to be entertained, and they certainly do not need you to be their entertainer. Now, of course, find time to experience the joy of playing with your children, but also allow them to experience and grow in boredom. Few more practical tips. Make your homeschool work for you. If you're a tax accountant, have your summer vacation during tax season. There's no law that says you have to follow the public school calendar or the 8 to 4 school day, period. Do what works best for you. Outsourcing. I have on here, it says outsourcing. It's not a bad word, but be cautious and intentional. It's okay to get some help. Tutors, grandparents. There's actually an entire multi-generational grandparent homeschooling movement, and other resources, even like Venture Upward, can help relieve some of the load of educating your children. It doesn't need to fall on your shoulders alone. Of course, we need to vet these resources and ensure they are reinforcing your family's mission statement for your family and your school. OutSchool is one of my favorite resources. If you've never heard of them, check them out. Scheduling and planners. Find a calendar system that works for you. It can be your phone, a paper calendar, a daily to-do list, or even a combination. I personally prefer a paper calendar for home and a Google Calendar for work. I do not ever merge them. I sometimes get teased by my colleagues about checking multiple calendars, but I like to keep them separate. I also utilize alarms on my phone. My husband loves to tease me about how many alarms on my phone. I probably have close to 100 alarms set on my phone right now. They don't all go off. They're not all active, but they are all listed on there. And regardless of the system you choose, schedule your day ahead of time so that you are only considering your time and your goals You don't want to end up scheduling your time in the moment according to how you feel. What do you feel like doing? It's not a good way to plan your day. Plan your day according to what you need to do, your goals, and how much time you have. It's also important to make sure that you help your children to select scheduling and planners that work for them, whether they're 4 years old or seniors in high school. Your middle schoolers, your seniors in high school, they might need a planner in their hands, a paper planner. They might need to use their phone. And your 4-year-old, your 5-year-old, my 10-year-old, it's much more simple. We use hourglass timers. All right, Hannah, it's time to start your math lesson for 45 minutes. And she can physically see the time draining out of the hourglass. So she knows how to plan her day and has tools and resources to plan her day as well. So don't forget about helping and teaching those children how to schedule and use planners effectively. All right. This is a merge between a practical tip and a perspective shift. So include your family. You can do this in so many ways. There does not need to be a separation of church and state when it comes to homeschooling and working. Talk about work. It's okay. Don't complain about work, but explain about work. You might be surprised to find out, as I was, how proud your kids are of their working mom and how interested they are in what you do to an extent. My kids love to be near me, even when I'm working, and they know, even when I'm working, they know I'm available if they really need me. But oftentimes they just need to know I'm right here. Let them be in your workspace. I know that can sound really scary, and you can't just start it today if you haven't trained them. You have to work towards it. But train them to be appropriate in your workspace. Of course, expectations should be set based on age, but even kids as young as 3 years old can sit quietly with an activity so they can be near you. Have a special bin of toys that's only to be used when you are working with an older sibling or working. And you need them to be in your workspace. The key to this method is threefold. Choose quiet and mess-free toys, rotate the toys occasionally, and never allow the bin to be taken out unless it's during those specially designated times. No exceptions. And they go away when you've completed your task. Of course, give them a moment to wrap up what they're doing. When they're older, it can be really fun. And yes, they are just a few feet away from where I'm working in these photos here, even having live meetings. So this is a picture of different spaces in my office. I have my son frequently likes to bring the computer in and do his work on the couch here. Sometimes they make a palette of stuffed animals on the floor, as you see in the lower left-hand corner. Sometimes I even have a dog visitor in my office while my oldest works. Sometimes I have an upside-down child reading a book, or they've brought in an entire tent to set up in my office and just lay and be near mom and listen while I work. In the bottom picture, I'll point out something. If you look in the bottom, the little girl, she's got the robe over her clothes, really blonde bottom, right hand, second to the right there with the computer open. In the background, you're going to see a candy machine. And this won't work for everyone, but it works for me. I have a candy machine set up in my office, and once a day they can come, and it gives out one jelly bean. Once a day they can come in and catch me working. If they catch me working, they can spin it and get a jelly bean. And all of a sudden, their entire perspective shifted. They don't walk in and say, oh, mom's working again. They walk in and say, oh, mom's working. I'm going to get my jelly bean. And it's just something fun and little that we've done that's been really effective. Actually, it's sitting empty at this very moment. It needs to be refilled. But it has been just such an easy way to bring a little bit of perspective shift into our house for our kiddos. Teens too, you can include them. So there's a few things I want to say about teens that are really specific. So the first thing is there isn't a good professional improvement book out there that's worth reading that isn't also worth reading for your kid with your kiddo. So if you've got a book that you've been wanting to read, I can suggest a couple. Eat That Frog is a great one. Atomic Habits, another great one. There's lots of good books. Even a book like Good to Great that's very focused on work, that can still be an amazing opportunity for personal character development for your student. So study those books together. Kill two birds with one stone. Improve yourself with that book, but also spend time with your teen studying it and do it together. Take your kids on a work trip. I've done this and it's actually quite amazing. Bring your kiddos with you if you can. You might need to make special arrangements. Maybe you need to bring grandma with you, but maybe it's a teen who can hang out at the hotel while you go to your meetings because they're 17 and that's okay. And then also the experts. So I will say this. Almost every company in the world is utilizing social media in some way. Ask your teen for advice and bring it back to your team. My own teenagers have given me advice on social media and what we should do for Venture Upward. And we've taken some of that advice, but we've had a lot of really good conversations, and it has made them feel seen and empowered and valued, even in mom's work life. So talk with your kids about work. Include them. My oldest daughter, so you'll see her pictured in the middle with the big black dog. My oldest daughter has had some amazing experiences in her life. She's had the opportunity to travel internationally, live abroad, attend college. She's fluent in Portuguese. She's just had some amazing experiences in her life. And she recently told me that one of her favorite pastimes wasn't traveling to these other countries or learning a new language or doing all these fun things. One of her favorite pastimes was lying on the couch in my office and listening to me have meetings. My kids also love to see who can name more of my colleagues. It's hilarious and so much fun. Or they'll randomly ask me about somebody I had a meeting with and ask about who they are and what they're like. And it's so much fun. So again, talk to your kids about work, include them. One of the other things that I love and treasure, and just as a practical tip, as you're training your children to be in your workspace, find a system that works for you that allows you to always be available. I do a lot of live meetings, and sometimes I can pause a meeting and allow them to come in and have a conversation, or mute myself and have a quick side conversation. But other times I'm not able to do that. So we have a really great system in our house, and I don't have a picture of it in this slideshow, but my kiddos write me notes, good old-fashioned notes. One of my favorite ones came from my daughter when she was 8, and it said, "Can Corey and I go out and do our barn chores? Circle yes or no." And so I had circle yes and hand it back to her. And it was not at all disruptive to my work or my meetings because I've trained her on how to do this. And we've come up with a system that works for all of us. And now I have a little archive of these little treasured handwritten notes from my kids, touching base about all kinds of different things throughout my work day. Maybe it's, can we go play outside with the neighbors? Or do you have 5 minutes that you can come out and do X with me? And it's just a wonderful little system that our family has created together. Here's a few pictures of how I've recently included our new baby, who is just 7 months old, in our work. The top left picture there you can see is bringing my baby into a Zoom meeting, a Google Meet meeting. Another thing that we did was I offered to host a work conference, work meetings in my home, so that my kids could see things in action and meet people in person. And that ended up being such a joy. And also the bottom right-hand corner, I brought 3 kiddos to a work conference, and they helped work our table. And it was a joy to have them there. And I know these things aren't always possible. Many of us work in the home, and many of us work outside of the home. But be intentional. If you work outside of the home, you can still include them. You can include them in other ways. It might be a tour of your work. It might be an interview with your boss for their homeschool career exploration class, maybe, or a prearranged take your kid to work day. Or like me, maybe you host the next work conference in your home. But remember that working and raising kids and working and homeschooling will have a lasting impression and a positive one. Here, I am in the top row, third from the right, you can see, or the bottom row, you can see the little arrow there. When I was a kid, my mom worked as a nurse, and every year she would go and take myself and my sister, who's right next to me, to National Take Your Daughter to Work Day. I don't know if anybody remembers those. A show of hands, did anybody have a Take Your Daughter to Work Day with their moms when they were young? It was an amazing experience for me. Year after year, I got to go with my mom and watch her work, and I was so proud of her. I was proud of her even when I didn't get to see behind the scenes, but to go there and see her work, what a privilege. The things I learned, the feelings I felt about my mom, the feelings I had about myself, my value to be brought into her world, all of those experiences I had then still impact me today. Some years I even went with her when she worked overnights. They are core memories for me, and they have shaped every corner of who I am, to watch my mom be an amazing mom and even homeschool us for a bit, and also be a strong, confident, working mom. So be intentional and make these experiences happen for your kids. Your working life doesn't have to be completely separate from your family. Include them. Together, you've got this. And remember, you won't get it all right, but you'll get a lot of it right, especially the good stuff. All right, I think we've got a little bit of time that I'm going to pass back to Beth for questions and a raffle.
Yes. Thank you so much. That was awesome. I think in the beginning, I felt like I was tearing up a little bit. I felt like you were talking just to me. So we are going to give our giveaways out right now, and then stick around and hold on to those questions. If you have questions, you can write them in the chat and I can read them, or you can unmute yourself and just ask them. But while we were listening, I did a random draw of the attendees that are here, and we have a really fun prize, first of all, that was donated by Hepner's Legacy. If you weren't here, Nancy Bjorkman was our keynote speaker first thing Monday morning, and Hepner's has donated the best-selling Adams Chart of History. It's a huge fold out that covers 6,000 years, and so it really helps to put history in perspective. And Beck Ling is the winner of that. If you could put your email in the chat, we will connect and I can give that to you. And then our next giveaway, we have a couple boxes that are sponsored by Geography Mystery Box by Landmark Kids. This is a new subscription box that Venture Upward is using for our families that choose this subscription box extracurricular option. And so this is a brand new thing. It's kind of like an escape room kit for like kids. They're going to explore the world and solve the case. And so they look super fun. But our first Geography mystery box goes to Jennifer Peterson. Yay. And then the second one goes to Elizabeth Rayford. And if you ladies could stick those email addresses in the chat, and we hope that you really enjoy those. And then we can open it up to questions.
And please don't be shy. You can unmute, ask any questions. If we haven't covered it, that's okay. We can cover it in the question section.
I know for me, I was thinking like sometimes when the kid needs help with math and I'm just like, I cannot get there. And they have to wait. Sometimes that causes, I feel like, a little bit of resentment. How do you like delay helping them without them feeling that they're like second fiddle to your job?
That's such a great question. So and this one is actually a really simple answer, and it's make sure that you return to them. Always make sure, write yourself a note, and just make sure that you return to them. So the minute you have a spare moment, go and connect with them. Even if you can't fully help them at that moment. So let's say you've got just 3 minutes between meetings, run over to them and just say, hey, I'm so glad that you asked for help with this math. I've got one more meeting. Do you think we could just put this on pause for another 45 minutes? And then you and I are going to sit down and tackle this. So as long as you're following up and then making that interaction meaningful, it's going to be okay. You're going to feel that guilt, and that's part of what you need to let go. You got to give your kids more credit. They understand that you're working, and they're proud of you for working. I guarantee that they're proud of their mom. And so trust them to be okay. They're not fragile. Trust them to be okay. As long as you're following up and giving them good time, that's all they need.
Okay.
And it's okay for them to wait. Teaches them lots of good skills. And also one of the things that, like with my younger kiddos, sometimes I'll say, I can't help you right now, but would you like to just sit in and read a book with me until I can help you? They're not going to feel forgotten when they've been invited to be in your space and wait.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
We have another question in the chat. I have trouble setting a boundary for when not to disturb mom. What to say?
Yeah, it's a great question or concern. So Amy, are you saying that you have trouble maintaining, not allowing them to disrupt the work, or you have a hard time explaining the boundary? Okay. Yeah. Excellent. So this one can be really tough, and it depends on how old your kiddos are too. And again, consistency is going to be really, really important. So explaining, I would ask you, do they understand the nature of your job? Do they understand what you're doing? It sounds like there's an opportunity to include them more in your work. Talk to them more about your work so that they can have a better understanding. Because if we haven't talked with our kids about what we do and brought them into our space and allowed them to see us working is just this abstract thing that they don't understand, and then is really hard for them to respect. So I would encourage you to take, and maybe you already have, but if not, I encourage you to take the time over the next couple of weeks and include them as much as possible. Talk to them about what you're doing. They can handle it. They might not at first seem like they're overly interested, but I promise you they are. And I guarantee they're going to start asking questions as you talk to them about it. And don't sit them down and say, hey, we're going to talk about mom's work right now for the next 20 minutes. Say, I'm doing this for work, and it dawned on me that you've had this experience, or you might know this about X. What are your thoughts? Or, oh, I had this really great experience today, or a really funny story to share with them. So draw them in, and make it casual and natural. Don't sit them down at the table and lecture them about what you do for a job, or make any kind of flow charts for them. That will go right over their head and you'll lose their interest. But again, work can't be abstract. It can't be this abstract thing. They can't respect something that they don't understand. So talk to them about what you're doing and what you do. The other thing is, if you have especially younger kids, sometimes they just need a visual. So you can have a little card on your table that you flip that says there's red, which means do not disturb on your desk. Mom's in a live, really important live meeting. There's yellow, that means come on in, but be really quiet. It's a note passing time. And there's green. Hey, I'm working, but I can easily take a minute and look up and talk with you. And so that is a great way to communicate with kids. They can just peek in the door. Oh, I see mom's on red. I know I can come in and wait if I can be quiet and manage my my behaviors. or it's yellow, great, I'm going to write mom a quick note, and then keep a sticky note on your desk for them to write, and a pen for them to write you notes, and be okay with it, right? So one of the things that's really important, and I try really hard at this, is that no matter what you're doing for a work at that given moment, whether you are in the most important meeting of your life or giving a recorded conference talk, if you have a kiddo that walks in the door, smile at them, right? Your instinct might be like, you don't mean to scowl at them, but you're worried about the noise, right? They've walked in, you're like, you've got this panicked look on your face, and all of a sudden they've come to you, and what have they gotten in return? They've gotten a face that tells them they're not welcome. And that takes training and practice on your side. So make sure that when they walk in the door, they walk into your space while you're working, no matter how inconvenient it is, plaster a smile on your face and welcome them. And then the other thing, like I said before when I was talking about the notes, Amy, if you give them an avenue to still communicate with you, even when you're on red or on yellow, they're going to feel seen and taken care of, and they're going to be okay with then respecting that, because they might have, so for example, if you have a kiddo who needs a Band-Aid, right? So they come in, they see you're on yellow, they're going to know, okay, I can write mom a note. Hey, mom, where are the Band-Aids? Or mom, I'm bleeding, right? And we're talking about minor paper cuts, right? We're not talking about losing all kinds of pints of blood. But if they have a predetermined way to communicate and connect with you, even when you can't walk away, that's going to give them a lot of peace and allow them to be better stewards of your boundaries. Elizabeth says, oof, make sure they see your smile and welcome when they walk in. That's so important and can be so hard. It really can be hard. And it does take a little bit of training, but I will tell you that it shifts your perspective, because all of a sudden just the act of smiling at someone releases endorphins, right? For you and for them. So all of a sudden they've walked in, I'm giving a live conference talk, and it's okay. They smile back. Maybe they see that your tab says red. They smile back. They sit down and they wait patiently, or they turn around and walk out. But the interaction was positive and building of your relationship.
Yes, thank you. Do we have any other questions? If not, all right, our next session, it's a bonus session, is coming up at 11:30 Central Time. And for those of you that like to use our Adventure Learning Labs, or in Minnesota, that's your curriculum. If you've ever wanted to know more about curriculum mapping, like using your own resource with the Adventure Learning Labs, Courtney Schloss, our Vice President of Program Development, will be showing us how to do it. And so if you know people that are wanting to know that great skill, spread the word in these next 30 minutes and pull them into this session. I feel like the curriculum mapping session will be really helpful. So hopefully to see you all in about 30 minutes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.